Hello, welcome to Cypress Automation. This is Sharful. This lecture is about to know how to handle child tab in Cypress. So first, we're going to see what do you mean by the child tab, and then we're going to see, the limitation of a use case of Cypress to handle child tab, as well as the workaround. Let's go. So let's see. There's a what does it mean, child tab? So child tab, it means, say example, you may have a link on your website or a button where it's a link with a URL. So if you click on that button or link, say example open tab in this our practice page, if you click on, you can see it's open another new tab, right? It's open a new window with a new tab. So this is called child tab. So your actual, your page or your application is the parent tab or parent application, and this is a child tab because this tab it's opened from your application. Okay, so this is a child tab. So child tab, how this is very common scenario. So in a Cypress, you may have a you may get that kind of scenario in your application, and you have to confirm this your child tab, it's opening a new tab or it's launching a new window. How you are going to confirm or test it through the Cypress, because Cypress does not allow to open and work on a child tab or new tab due to prevent flicky test. This is the architecture of Cypress. Unlike other automation like Selenium, you can easily handle a multiple child window. So you can switch your driver. If you're familiar with the Selenium architecture, you can switch your driver from your parent to child, and then you can do whatever you need to do, and then you can get back to your driver to your parent window. But in Selenium, in Cypress you can't do this, because that's the way Cypress the design, because they want to ensure the consistency of the script or execution. Because switch around in different tab, it takes time. It can be some some gap, and then it will do some sort of flicky test. So to prevent the flicky test, Cypress is very strict to work on or move on to child window. But still, this is very common scenario. But then how we are going to do it? We have to somehow we have to manage that kind of scenario. So in that case, Cypress it's said it's not possible. But on the other hand, Cypress is such a very powerful API that it has the ability to manipulate your DOM, right? Your HTML code. Since that's a power, it belongs to Cypress, we can use that power, the technology, to manipulate the DOM or HTML related to the child tab, and still we can find out some workaround. And how it's possible, let's see. When you spy the child tab, the element, web element, which is related to child tab, what it looks like. Here, as you can see, this is the HTML code related with this open tab. Here is the href, this is the link, and here is one of the attribute. It's called target attribute, and it's blank. This is the HTML code that's enable, that lets this URL to open in a new blank window. So it's called target. It's blank. Blank means it will open a new tab window. It's a brand new tab window, okay, which is we are saying child tab. If you see example some sort of other tab which is not opening a new window but is opening in the same parent website, say example, if you go to any button, say home, if you just spy this home, if we click, what happened? So let me click first. If you click on one of the button, it's a home. It's also linked with one of the URL that's take you to the home page of this application. And if you spy this home button, how it looks, the HTML code, you can see here is also href. The link is tie with this home button, and there is a tag, the text, but there is no target attribute. for this home button. This is the difference. So the reason I'm showing you, because so that we can understand, we can easily find out the HTML structure between the child window and also the window it's open inside the same parent window. So it is also opening another window, but inside the same application, where the missing attribute, the HTML part, is the target attribute. It's missing, it's not available over here. Whereas if we go back to our previous open tab over here, you can see it's similar. It has the also href, the link, but this is the extra stuff, like a target is one of the attribute that's enable HTML to open this URL in a new window or tab. So since Cypress is saying that it has the power to capacity to manipulate your HTML DOM. HTML DOM means the HTML code related your targeted element, and you can manipulate some of the stuffs your HTML DOM. So if somehow we can remove this target from this HTML code related with this tab, if we can remove this target equals to blank, if we can remove this attribute target, then it will be similar like a other the home tab or other button we have over here, which is opening in the same application. And Cypress is, there is no problem. If you can open your application in or your child window within the same application, that's totally fine, because Cypress is not allowed to open a new tab due to protect or prevent the flicky test. But if it's open in the same application, that's fine. So if we can manipulate the behavior of a child window, like opening that window inside between the same application, then it's fine. So Cypress have a that kind of capacity, because Cypress have a invoke method that's help you to invoke any function, and there is a attribute remove attribute function in jQuery. That function also can remove any attribute from the HTML. It means, let me show you. Here is a jQuery code in W3 school. Here you can see there is a function called attribute remove attribute method. This method removes one or more attributes from the selected elements. So if you have any elements like this, like this is the element, and it has this HTML, and it can remove attribute function can remove any attribute from that selected element. So we can easily use this fire this remove attribute function to remove the HTML code, remove the this target attribute from here. And to use that the remove attribute function, we need to use invoke function in Cypress, because remove attribute function is not part of the Cypress command. It's the external function which is written in jQuery. You can see it is in jQuery. Okay, this is the jQuery, but jQuery works with the JavaScript. But still, since it's at it is an external, so to fire this attribute we can use one of the internal function in Cypress. It's called invoke function. So how the invoke function works, you can see it is, here is the syntax. So whatever your element would be, and then you use your invoke function, invoke, and then you can pass an argument, the function name. So this function is remove attribute function. We can pass easily over here. You can pass one argument as just function name, or more than one argument. You can say function name, like example we're going to use this one, invoke function name, which is remove attribute, and what is the another argument, what attribute you want to remove. We have to pass, we have to say we want to remove this target attribute, right? So over here we're going to first locate the element of this button, and then we're going to say we're going to use the dot invoke function and pass the function name, which will be the remove attribute function, which will remove can remove any attribute, and then we'll pass the attribute name, which is a target attribute. And this simple one line code will apply in this element. So it's automatically it will manipulate, remove this target attribute, and if this target attribute is removed from there during our execution, this tab, this link, this tab will treat as a regular other tab, like it will open in a same window, in the same parent window, like we saw, like when you click on home button or other button in this web application. And then it's our problem been resolved, right? So I hope that you understand and clear the picture. Let's go to our VS Code. Okay, so in VS Code I create one spec file or test file. It's called child tab s, and this is my describe block, where this is the web application, the URL, and just I simply pass one of assertion to just confirm that this link, it's the coding box is the link part of the link, so that is confirmed this is the right link, right? And then it's another it block where we're going to say invoke child tab. Here we're going to see, so first we're going to locate this CUI dot locate the element, right? The button element, right? So what's the button element? This is the HTML code, so we can use there is a ID, right? So ID is open tab. So since it's ID, so this is this will locate the button, right? And then before we click, we have to invoke, we have to call the invoke function. So use the invoke function, which is part of Cypress. And what's the argument of the invoke function? The first would be we're going to pass the removeAttr method, right, from jQuery. Once again, removeAttr method, removeAttr method. So copy this, right, pass this over here, removeAttr, and then pass another argument. What would be what attribute you want to remove? It's called this one, the target, right? This attribute we want to remove, right? And after that, then you call the click function, right? It's simple. So then now if I run it, so what does it mean? Once again, this will locate the tab, right, the child window tab, and there we're invoking removeAttr function, and this removeAttr function will remove the target attribute. So this whole thing will apply to in this element, and at the end we're going to click on that element. So the element, the HTML related for this element will have without a target attribute. It means it will, after it the click, but the click action will be performed, it will be open in the same application. It should. Let's save it and run it. Okay, child tab, right? Loading the page. Did you see it? Here we go. Okay, first we see that's it's saying this is the tab. You can see it's loaded. Okay, it's loaded because if you click, what happened? If we click on this, open tab, it's button, it's open a new tab, and you can see this is the site looks like the codeinbox.com, right? And the same side, it's open over here. You can see this is the same side, it's open here. The same side is open in the same application, it did, but we got some sort of error. Here is, you can see it get the tab, so there is no problem. Then invoke the remove attribute and remove the target attribute, and then it's click, it's fine. So it said page loaded, waiting for new page to load, even though it's loaded over here, right? You can see it's loaded over here. This is the new site. This is not the our parent application. This is the new window, you know, the new link, the new tab one. It's open, but it's, we're getting some error. It's saying Cypress detect a cross origin error happen on page load. So blocked a frame with the origin blah blah blah. You can say assign. You're saying before the page load you are bound to origin policy. So Cypress, as I said, Cypress have some its own policy, very strict policy, you know, to prevent the flicky test. It means, you know, your actual what call your actual domain, it's like this is the one, codeinboxautomationlab.com, but the new tab we are opening, it's open, it's a new domain, it's a different domain. Okay, in the different domain you can see, a new URL does not match the original policy, because the new URL, it has the different new, the whole different. So it is the codeinbox.com, but the original one, our application one, is codeinboxautomationlab.com. so it's two different domain. So Cypress is also very strict to open a new domain. The, you know, even though, you know, it's opening in a new page, it's the same application, not opening in a new tab within the application, but its the domain is different. Cypress is very strict to open a new domain, you know, rather than the original domain. So it's saying a new URL does not match the original policy if the protocol, so this is the one, so Cypress does not allow, you can see, to navigate to a different original URL within a single test. Okay, so in single test it doesn't allow you to open in a different URL. If it's a URL would be the same, then it's fine, but it's opening a totally different URL. Even though it's open, but it's still, it's saying it's the it's prohibited, you know, of Cypress architecture. Okay, so you may need to restructure some of your test code to avoid this kind of problem. So here it's saying, it's giving you some some suggestion. It's saying, you know, you can turn off this restriction by setting Chrome Web Security false, because this is the part of security of Cypress. So if you set Chrome Web Security false in cypress.json file, it will, you know, resolve that kind of problem. This problem will not arise. So because we are overriding Cypress by default security. Cypress by default security is that it will not let you open two different domain, you know, different URL, you know, from your parent URL. So this is the security part of Cypress security. But if you want to override that kind of security, still you wanna launch a different URL than your parent URL, still is possible. That time you have to change the Cypress default security, where we have to say, you know, Chrome Web Security equals to false, you know, in Cypress JSON file. So let's do it. So let's go to so we're going to say, let's copy this whole thing, close or minimize it, stop it, go to the, you know, package where it's saying you go to Cypress dot Cypress JSON. Okay, go to Cypress JSON file. So you can see, you know, you have couple of files. Those are the, you know, configuration file. You know, you can see here also, if you go to settings, you know, you can see the configuration. So this is a by default configuration for Cypress. You know, all of the strict everything, it's over here, and it's the default configuration. how long it can take, how long it can wait to execute your script, how long it should wait, all those things. But and also the the security stuff. So if you want to override any one of the security from here, we can go to Cypress. So we can, it's just like a setup, we can go to cypress.json file here, and let's update here. Let's update here this chrome.security as a Chrome security false, right? Let's remove this. Okay, you have to put this one in double quotation. Okay, save it. So all we're saying, again, we're overriding some of Cypress the default configuration. We're saying Chrome web security equals to false. So right now, if we execute the test case again, this will get the priority and will override the default security configuration. So let's go again and test here, and then run it again. Child tab. It should be good now. Here we go. See, now it's saying it's a open, find the tab, and then invoke the remove attribute function and remove the target attribute, and click on the element. You can see the output on the right side, the related code. So it's here, you can see the open tab is selected, and click on the tab, and then it's page loaded. So you can say it's page loaded and with a new URL. So even this new URL, you see this, it's a whole different URL. It's codeinbox.com, which is not similar like our brand application. Even though it's a different URL, but it's loading within the same application, same window. So it's not loading in a separate window. So that's the way. Now if you need to do any testing on this page, you can do it as very simple. You just spy the element, whatever the element you need to test, and whatever the action or perform you need to perform, just do it simple as it is we do, right? So that's the way we're going to handle, very little bit smart way you have to handle your child window or child tab in Cypress. I hope you understood that. It's very clear. It's a little bit tricky, but its concept is very clear. So thank you so much. Stay tuned. Watch the next tutorial. Have a good one.